So you want to be a day trader. Let's talk about that. Maybe not a day trader, maybe just a trader. You've heard about it. You've heard about the stock market. Who hasn't? It's obviously done really, really well lately. But let's talk about what it's like to be a trader. My name's Bender. I'm a day trader. Some of you have probably seen my live stream. I'm on Twitch every day, streaming charts, doing technical analysis, calling out my trades. So, I don't claim to know everything about, tickers or anything like that, or about any specific companies. I just trade, and I do it live on Twitch, live on the stream, talking through this stuff. So if you haven't seen it, I suggest you check it out. Especially if you're somebody that's interested in trading, but you're in the right place. Maybe you're just getting started, or maybe you're just interested and you don't know where to start. I'm going to cover front to back everything that I can think of that I think a new trader needs to know. Again, I don't claim to be the best trader in the world. I'm not some, billionaire trader that's making these massive trades. No, I'm just somebody that does it and does it consistently enough to make a living at it, a good living at that. And I've been through a lot of the, ups and downs. I've made my share of mistakes, which is how we learn. We call it the price of tuition. But this video series that I'm going to put together is really to give you an introduction, what it's like to be a trader, and then walk you through some of the things that you need to think about, how to decide what kind of trader you are, what should you be trading? How do you find setups? How do you find opportunities? When you're thinking about entering and exiting a trade, what kinds of things should you be looking at or taking into consideration? And most importantly, what I'm going to cover in this video, in this first video, this is all about what to avoid, because that is, I think, what gets a lot of new traders is they don't know where to go, and they're listening to people from all over the place. So let's talk through that a little bit. I'm going to show the outline probably right now. These are all the topics that I'm going to cover, all the things I'm going to go through. So follow along. I'm going to try to keep the videos somewhat brief as I can, but I want to make sure that I get everything covered. So with that out of the way, the introduction out of the way, let's go through this first topic, which is avoid everything. That's what I want to start with. What does that mean? Well, maybe you've heard of StockTwits. Maybe you've heard of Investors Hub. Maybe you've seen infomercials on the next big, the next big stock. And if you found me, and you found me not because you're already watching my stream, but because you're out there looking for this stuff, you're looking for this content, then I'm sure that you've seen some of these advertisements that I'm talking about. Ignore it all. Ignore the analysts. Ignore everything, right? And let me tell you why. So the majority of people on StockTwits, not all of them, there's some good traders that are on StockTwits, but the majority of them don't know what they're talking about. And they're just either pumping a stock or they're bashing a stock because they want the stock price to go up or down. And they think they're going to have some impact on the market if they go out there and either spread fear or create confidence. They just want to speak their mind, and a lot of it's just hopium. And by that, I mean, I want the stock to go down. It should go down. Here's why it should go down. I want to go tell everybody why it should go down. That doesn't mean it's going to go down. And don't listen to anyone that claims that they know what direction the market's going to go, or what direction, like if they're like, I guarantee you this stock's going to move. I guarantee you this stock's going to go up. Your radar should immediately go off, and you should be like, yeah, I don't know. You can't guarantee anything. You can't guarantee anything. Even if you know some piece of information or, news-driven event that's supposed to happen, and you already know the outcome and that sort of thing, you still don't know that the stock is gonna move, and you don't know which direction it's gonna move. And you'll see that. That's something that experience will teach you, is that when you think you know, you don't know. So the best thing you can do is just play the chart and learn to trade the chart, learn to do the technical analysis, because that is the fundamental system that is going to make you a consistent trader. It's not listening to, somebody tell you what the next big stock is. It's okay to listen. I listen, especially if they are like an industry expert. And I trust them, somebody that I know, and they're like, hey, have you heard of this company? They're really good in my industry. If I haven't heard of them, or if I have, I will definitely go look, but I'm going to look at the chart. I'm going to read everything that I can to try to gain an understanding. But really, at the end of it, it all comes down to the chart. So for now, I say avoid stock twits, avoid Investors Hub. If you're looking at Investors Hub, you're probably looking at penny stocks and you're looking at the wrong stuff. Like, don't go trade penny stocks, especially as a new trader. If you're a new trader, if you're not super experienced and you don't know all about penny stocks, don't go try to trade penny stocks. That is a money pit until you understand it. Once you gain the experience, you might become an expert penny stock trader, and some people are, and that's what they've chosen to trade. That's not me personally, but there are people that are very successful with it. Just don't start there. And again, you see something on YouTube, like this is a training video. I'm not going to tell you what to go out and buy. I'm not going to tell you what's going to be the next big thing. My goal is to help you understand when you hear those names and you hear those advertisements, or you hear someone say it's going to be the next big stock, what should you be doing and what should you be looking at? And how do you make a decision? I want to do this because I think that too many people just jump into stuff, right? When they do hear that, this company is doing awesome. They're supposed to, whatever, they're going to uplist. You hear that on Investors Hub all the time. They're going to be the next big monster, right? You'll hear that. Look at Monster. They did it. They were a penny stock. This company is going to be the next one to do it. A lot of newer traders fall into this trap of they don't know how to evaluate if that's really the case. If just because somebody's telling you that this company is going to go up, the stock price is going to go up, they just jump in and they don't really know how to evaluate it. So I want to make sure that you guys do. So what's it like to be a trader, right? What's in store? What should you expect? Well, I would say that to start, you could probably expect a little frustration, information overload, some heartache potentially. It's not uncommon for newer traders to lose some money, and I warn new traders, especially friends of mine that are asking me about it. I'm like, practice before you put any real money into this. Paper trade, need to practice. Before we get into that though, let's continue through this video, this introduction. We will get into things like paper trading and how to practice and all that stuff. But right now, I really just want to focus on what should you not do. You shouldn't go out and immediately start buying stocks. Don't go out and immediately start buying options or futures or anything like that, right? Just take a step back and take the time to learn and understand, how to do this and how to do it and be somewhat consistent. You're not going to expect a ton of consistency early on until you've learned the hard way, potentially, some of the mistakes that you're prone to. Everybody's a little different, but you have to learn what you need to avoid and the mistakes that you're prone to making. What are your weaknesses? And that stuff takes time, right? But our goal is to minimize the losses that you'll take, minimize that tuition, learn how to control that risk so that you don't blow up your account, you don't lose everything before you've really had a chance to learn. So how busy are you going to be if you want to be a trader? Well, it depends, what kind of trader you are. Are you wanting to day trade full time? Are you wanting to be a swing trader, which is, hold stuff for maybe a couple days or a week or something like that? Or are you trying to be an investor? That has something to do with it. I will say that from the beginning, you're going to be very busy. if you want to be good at this. And it takes a lot of work and a lot of homework. And I don't mean hours and hours and hours analyzing companies, unless you're, trying to be an investor that's going to buy something that, you study their financials and you study their, their business model and their competition and the prospect of growth and that sort of thing. That's not what I do either. I am primarily a day trader, primarily in and out of things very quick. Sometimes I swing trade things for 2 or 3 days, or like I said, sometimes a week or more. I do have a core set of positions that I hold in a longer term account, but my primary function is as a day trader. So I say you'll be really busy because you're gonna need to spend a lot of time analyzing charts, learning the terminology, learning what you should be looking for in a chart. We're going to go through a lot of that, but you still need to practice. And you can practice by doing things like, so I use TradingView to chart. TradingView has a chart replay feature. Most of the brokers platforms, I think, have that as well. I know Thinkorswim does, but I use it in TradingView. It gives you the ability to pull up a chart and to replay that day's price action kind of as it happened. So it's really easy to look at a chart after the fact, after the moves have happened, and say, oh, well, it was so obvious. It was in the chart that it was going to go up. Well, you really don't know how, if you're going to interpret that way when you're trading live, unless you've gone through that practice, over and over again. Different charts, different symbols, different time frames. Just play the chart and start looking at what decision you would make and see if you're right. It's a great way to practice. So you're gonna spend a lot of time doing that. Again, a lot of time learning the terminology. You're gonna get all these things thrown at you that you've probably already heard a couple of terms in this video that if you're new, that you're like, I don't even know what that is. We're gonna go through as much as I can cover, but it's gonna take some time before it becomes natural language for you. I also want to cover how to deal with the emotional aspect at the beginning. Things like dealing with pressure, dealing with haters, negativity, fear, and overconfidence. I think these are all very important when you're starting. And I'm going to start with the pressure, right? I always suggest that people don't like jump in, quit your job, decide that you're going to be a day trader and give up, your steady income so that you can, I want to focus on trading full time. I'm going to give up everything. I'm just, I've never traded before. I'm a beginner, but I want to do this full time, right? It may seem appealing, and to many, it turns out to be exactly what they wanted. In my case, this is what I want to do. But you may find that you're not good at it or that you don't like it. But I think that doing that, if you don't have some other income source or a large cushion to fall back on to pay your bills for a while, when you get started, you're going to have this pressure on you that I need to make money. There's a certain amount of money that I have to make every week or every day to make ends meet. And if I don't make that, I'm going to have to go back to work. If you put that kind of pressure on yourself early on, it's going to make it very, very difficult to succeed. You're going to take trades that you shouldn't be taking because you haven't hit your quota. You're going to take trades that your position size doesn't make any sense for the size of your portfolio. Like you're taking unnecessary risk because you think that there's a certain amount of money that you have to make. That pressure is not good for you when you're trying to learn to be a disciplined trader. So you need to get that out of your head immediately. Get out of your head the idea that I got to make X amount of dollars. That's going to be too much pressure when you're starting, and it's not good. The other thing that you need to get out of your head is that trading and the stock market is somehow going to make you rich, or that it's like a get rich quick type of thing or anything like that. You need to get that out of your mind as well, because that will kill you as a trader. If you want to be successful, you want to be in this game for for a long time and be successful, you need to get that out of your head. Sure, there are stories out there of that happening and it working out for people, but it's so rare that if it does happen, it should happen because you're already in a trade because it was a good trade. It made sense. And then, news comes out and all this good stuff comes out and the stock skyrockets and you make a lot of money, but you didn't get into it because you thought it was going to make you rich. You got into it because it made sense on the chart and you took a position size that makes sense. You're not taking too much risk and it just does, it goes to the moon, whatever. Don't expect that. Don't aim for that. And you need to put it out of your head that's what's going to happen. Hey, man, this stock market thing, I'm going to get rich. No, you're not. No, you're not. You'll be lucky to get away from the stock market with your shorts. Most new traders come in and blow up 2 or 3 accounts over the course of 2 years before they figure it out. And by figure it out, I mean, learn the discipline that it takes. Learning what trades not to take. The hardest thing to do is to not take a trade. There's this term, FOMO, which is, you may have heard of it, fear of missing out. That eats traders alive because things start moving. They hear this news headline. Oh my gosh, this thing, this is the best company ever. And they jump in and the stock drops and they lose all their money. Happens all the time, right? They take a 40% hit to their portfolio and now they're sitting there going, especially if you have that pressure, oh my gosh, I just lost 40%. I need to make that back. I want my money back. Just give me my money back and I'll be done with this, right? And then they're taking more bad trades on top of bad trades to try to get that because it's in their head. That pressure is there. There's a certain amount they have to make. And now they feel really bad about themselves because they lost money. And now they got to go make it back. Maybe they don't want to tell somebody, a friend or a relative or whatever, that they lost that money. So they're trying to get it back. That just creates, it wrecks havoc on a portfolio. So I want you to start this. I want you to start this endeavor of potentially trading with the idea that the only thing that you need to do right now is learn the discipline and protect your capital. Protect the money that you already have because the whole market is out there to take it from you, right? The stock market is going to take it from you. And I know that sounds like I'm trying to instill fear or I'm trying to say that there's no way that you're going to be successful. And that's absolutely not the case. You certainly can be successful, but you got to go into it with the right mindset, which is protect your money, protect your capital. Don't take inappropriate risk and don't chase tickers that are moving or jump in because you heard some news without really understanding what you're looking at and how to evaluate the chart and decide whether or not it's a good trade and all that stuff. And I'm going to go into a ton of detail on that stuff, but I just want you to start there. The next emotion that I want to talk about is haters and negativity. If you see the way that I try to present that is not that you can't do it. It's I want you to do it and I want you to be successful, but you're going to have to be careful. That's all, right? So you're going to get people, you're going to tell people like, hey, I just got into the stock market, right? You're talking to your buddy or your parents or whatever. And you're like, I'm really interested in this. I think I can do it. I want to give it a shot. And you're going to get a lot of people that are like, that's a sucker's game. Don't you know 90% of traders fail and they lose all their money and, they're going to throw these stats at you that they've heard from other people, or maybe they had a bad experience and they're going to tell you, don't do that. Just avoid the stock market entirely. Stay away from it. You're better off putting your money into an ETF or let someone else manage it for you and be happy with your 10% or 8% or whatever. You're going to hear stuff like that. Listen, only you know whether or not you have the discipline and the emotional strength to do this, because it does take emotional strength. This is a mental game. I tell people it's worse than golf. a huge part of it is controlling your emotions, and only you know if you can do that. And the best way I think to find out is to start by practicing paper trading, and then kind of start small and, you know, see if you're able to control those emotions. And it takes practice. But you know, I heard that a lot when I first started. I heard, yeah, like this seems really risky, and it seems like, you know, you're good at your job. Maybe you should just keep doing that, and that sort of thing. And if this is really what you want to do, then, you know, it's like, hey, I appreciate your concern. I really do. I'm going to be really careful. I'm going to take the time to learn how to do this. And I think I can make it work. And maybe it didn't work for you, or maybe it didn't work for some of the people that you've heard about, but I'm going to take a different approach. Not that, you know, you'll have it all figured out, but hey, I'm going to be really careful, and I'm going to practice risk management, and I'm going to practice discipline. And I think I can do this. I think I can make it work. I want to give it a shot, right? Stay positive. Don't let that stuff bother you. Everyone's heard a horror story. Everyone's probably already or also heard a success story. And you kind of got to do your best to just take it with a grain of salt, and let it roll off, and you know, keep pushing forward. Which brings me to fear, and then overconfidence. So fear is something that will happen when you make a losing trade, or a second losing trade, or potentially a third losing trade. You start to develop this fear. It's like if you were, you know, I don't know, playing baseball, and you get up to the plate and this pitcher throws a fastball. You're in, you know, grade school or something, or middle school, you know, and pitcher throws a fastball, and it, you know, hits you in the shoulder or something. You might be a little tentative to get up to the plate the next time, right? You're like, nah, last time I did this, I got hit by the pitch. That didn't feel good. You know, you might be standing a little bit further back away from the plate, even though it was an accident or whatever. You know, there might be some fear. Same sort of thing applies to the stock market. You take a losing trade or two losing trades in a row, it's time to walk away. First of all, I take breaks after, you know, if I have a couple losing trades in a row, I might just quit for the day, purge that, learn from it, and come back the next day. And it does happen. Nobody wins every trade. Not every trade is going to be successful or green. It just happens. But what you have to avoid is being afraid of the stock market and being afraid of trading. That will force you to make bad decisions and bad trades as well. It is, and that's where the discipline comes in, and developing an approach and a strategy, and learning how to stick to it. It's like, hey, I know what I'm looking at. I know why I'm making the decision that I'm making to get in or out of this trade. I know where my lines are, where am I willing to enter, and where should I exit. I've evaluated that, and it's either going to work or it's not, right? Sometimes there are market influences that occur, whether it's headline news or something like that will impact that trade. And you know, hey, I said I was going to get out if this happened. I'm getting out, right? I'm going to take my 20% loss on that trade, and I'm going to move on to the next trade, right? And that's when I started this video. I mentioned, you know, controlling risk and minimizing losses, and that is super, super important. And you can't do that unless you've taken the time to really evaluate those trades and you know, make sure that you understand why you are entering and why you're exiting, and your reasons and answers should be more than just somebody told me to, or because, you know, there was a headline that said that whatever, they got a deal with Starbucks or something, whatever it is. It should be more than that. And if you do that, if you have a system and you learn a strategy that you can have some confidence in, there's no reason to be afraid. There's no reason to be fearful. You should just be disciplined and follow a set of rules, develop and follow a set of rules. And then there's no reason to be afraid because you already know what the potential outcomes are and you've accepted them. So hopefully I want you to think about that and really digest that. If you develop a set of rules and you develop a system or a strategy and you stick to those rules and you're disciplined, you should already know what the potential outcome or potential risk, you should already know what that is. And it needs to be acceptable. And you need to evaluate that before you take a trade. And then the last thing is overconfidence. And this is definitely very important. So this was what got me early on, is I had some lucky trades in the beginning that did really well. And I got overconfident. I was like, this is easy, right? All I got to do is, look for A, B, and C, and then I just buy a ton and it goes up. And like I said, I had quite a few early wins. Like I think I strung together probably my first 7 or 8 trades were really good, like really good. You'll hear, I'm sure, that story in another video. When that happens, that's like the worst thing that can happen to a new trader is to string a bunch of good trades, especially ones that run, 200 or 300% or more. Because then you start to think you start to think that you have it figured out and that it's easy and, oh my gosh, this is going to work every time, right? And that's when you're going to take your biggest loss. Even as an experienced trader, somebody that's been doing it for a long time, that's experienced lots of gains and lots of losses, you'll still go through that over the course of your trading career. You'll still have times where it's like, I can't lose. Every trade that I've made for the last month is green, or the last 2 months is green. I can't do anything wrong. And then you get reckless. And that's when you start to take losses. So avoid being overconfident. In fact, when you have that streak of wins, that is when you should be the most careful. That is when you should take a step back and say, hey, this is working. Don't be overconfident. Don't start giving back those gains. Follow the system, stay disciplined. Don't change a thing, but just be disciplined and stick to your rules, because that's when you'll start to break rules, is when you get overconfident and you have that long string of wins. That's when rules will get broken. Because you're going to be like, oh, no. I know I'm right. I know I'm breaking my rules here, but it's going to turn around. It's going to be okay. Or I can take more risk because, obviously I've figured this out and I'm, on a roll here. And then you end up taking a bigger position, and that's when you are wrong. And all of those gains that you made over the last 3 months disappear. So very, very important. Let's see. I think that about covers the introduction here. The next video, I'm going to talk about how to figure out what kind of trader you want to be. I'm going to talk a little bit about what does it mean to be a swing trader or a intraday trader, a scalper, an investor. How do they differ, how the strategies might differ, and how you should identify what kind of trader you want to be. And that's very important. Everybody does it differently, right? Not everybody wants to be a swing trader. Not everybody wants to be a day trader. I know lots of people that are like, nah, it's too stressful for me. I don't, I'm not okay with that. It's too much pressure, and I lose money every time I try to do it. Maybe that's not for you. Maybe you're a longer term swing trader. Well, how do you determine that? And how should you figure it out? That's what we're going to talk about in the next video. So I know this was an introduction. We didn't really talk, too much. If you've been trading, maybe this is helpful, maybe it's not. But like I said, I've got a whole slew of topics. I want to keep the videos, as reasonably short as I can and still get the points across. But stick around, subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave me a comment if there's something I missed. or maybe something you want me to address in the next video. As long as it kind of fits within the outline that I've put together, happy to address that. And if you have the time, join me on Twitch. I stream live during market hours. It's twitch.tv/BenderProfitBox. Come say hi. Let me know you saw the video. Feel free to ask any questions. I'll do my best to answer them. And I will get the next video out as soon as I can. So thanks for watching. And I hope you continue to watch the rest of the videos that I put out. And I wish you all of the success in your journey to be a trader. We'll see you next time.